Governor Gavin Newsom and Democrats in the state capitol reach agreement on a final budget deal for the state. Coming up, I'll give you the 5 reasons why this is an extremist budget that only will make California's problems worse and what we're doing to fight back. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and finally, we have a budget deal in Sacramento. Over the weekend, California Governor Gavin Newsom and his liberal Democrat counterparts in the state legislature put the finishing touches on their final budget deal. It's going to pass because Democrats overwhelmingly hold a super mega majority in both chambers of the state legislature. And Governor Gavin Newsom has shown that he is absolutely not capable nor willing to push back against extremist bad policies that are hurting California residents. Let me give you the 5 bad things you need to know about this budget. And the liberal media, of course, will not cover these issues, but we do here at Reform California. Coming in at number 5, the budget is a massive gimmick. It makes Enron-style accounting look like, top-notch bookkeeping. See, what Governor Gavin Newsom and the state Democrats did is instead of addressing their spending addiction and the fiscal crisis that they've put the state in, they've decided to paper over their deficit, kick the can down the road by using accounting gimmicks to hide the real nature of the problem, to continue to overspend by basically cooking the books. They also raid our reserves. When you raid reserves, 2 things happen. Number one, it artificially increases your spending ability. But once that money's gone, the problem is even worse. And second, by raiding reserves, you eliminate any sort of rainy day fund for the state in the case of real unforeseen emergencies. This is high risk. It is negligent, but it is the accepted practice in California politics. So accounting gimmicks is number 5. Number 4, you need to know that they are making massive cuts to seniors and even programs serving people with developmental disabilities. While they're cutting services to the needy in California, they're giving away free taxpayer-funded welfare, free taxpayer-funded health insurance coverage to illegal immigrants. It's absurd. It's obscene and offensive that you're cutting services for taxpayers and citizens while basically wasting a bunch of money on people who shouldn't be here in the first place. Billions of dollars, by the way. When people say, well, how much are we spending on the illegals? Billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars in the state budget this year. So seniors and people who are developmentally disabled, they will do without under this budget deal. They will have to bear the burden so that we can give these freebies away to people, again, who should not be here in the first place. It also exacerbates the border crisis because it provides a carrot that you're dangling in front of these migrants. And then the coyotes and the cartels, the human traffickers, are able to say, look, you should totally get to the United States because Governor Gavin Newsom and California Democrat politicians, boy, they're giving away freebies. This budget expands the freebies at taxpayer expense, and it will lead to a worsening of our border crisis here in Southern California. Coming in at number 3, the release of prisoners. Violent criminals are going to be released back onto the street under this budget deal because it cuts nearly $400 million from the California state prison budget. The budget basically proposes to cut 4 state prisons, shut down 4 state prisons, and eliminate several tens of thousands of prison beds. That the capacity will be reduced in our prison system, which will mean that it forces the release of criminals onto the street. 55% or more of criminals being released in California today will go on to reoffend within 2 years of their release. We don't really punish or rehabilitate criminals anymore in our prison system in California. We coddle them. And now this budget will release them. And that will only lead to a higher spike in crime. In the middle of what we already are seeing is a very violent and costly crime wave hurting California residents. Crime will go up under this budget because we are gutting the prison budget and releasing prisoners and criminals back onto the street. Coming in at number 2, billions and billions more in tax increases. At a time when businesses are shutting their doors and cutting jobs and fleeing the state, Governor Gavin Newsom and California Democrats make the situation worse in this budget by increasing tens of billions of dollars in business taxes. God, you thought things couldn't get better? You couldn't make it more toxic and hostile to job creators in our state? Well, this budget certainly does that. Tax increases. Far be it from these politicians to actually cut wasteful spending, like the high-speed rail train to nowhere. Instead, they are increasing taxes and driving more and more jobs out of our state. And finally, the number one problem with this budget is it fails to address the issues that are impacting you, the greatest, the hardest hit Californians. This budget should actually be setting policies and putting in place reforms that will make things better for Californians, but it makes things worse. So, for example, on the affordability crisis, where people can't afford to live in the state anymore, one of the best ways to make things more affordable is to cut the cost of energy. The gas prices in this state are a sucker punch to low-income families and working families who live farther away from the job centers and therefore have to drive farther. It costs about $2,500 more for the average driver per year for their gas in California versus the national average. Why? Because, well, we have massive gas taxes and regulations applied to each gallon of gas. This budget should have suspended the gas tax, but it doesn't. Another crisis point that we're seeing is in the area of homeowners insurance. My office has been inundated with calls from desperate residents who've been canceled on their insurance. Seniors on fixed income who are calling in tears, saying that they've had their insurance drop and their only asset is their home. And the insurance that they're forced to enroll in, the California Fair Plan, or as I call it, the California Unfair Plan, will cost them thousands of dollars more per year that they can't afford on fixed income. They're going to be priced out of their home because of their increased insurance rates. This budget takes 4% premiums. There's an insurance tax. Everyone's paying higher premiums because there's an insurance tax. I have proposed that insurance tax should be rebated to all homeowners, giving them relief immediately, and that we should stabilize rates because the politicians have failed to deal with the threat of wildfire because they don't allow vegetation management, the thinning of forests, proper forest management practices. Not only should this budget fully fund fire preparedness and risk reduction, which it doesn't, but we should be providing rate stabilization. Where are you going to get the money? The Climate Action Fund. Billions of dollars going out to wasteful projects like the high-speed rail train to nowhere, which is fully funded in this budget. We need to see those dollars go to provide stabilization and relief, rate relief for homeowners who are seeing their insurance premiums spike. This budget does nothing to help those people out. In fact, it leaves them in the cold and will result in people losing their homes and having a major hit to their household budget. Look, by every measure, we should be reforming state and local finance now, early on, because we are seeing the fiscal crisis grow. But this budget negligently kicks the can down the road and will make things much, much worse. Governor Gavin Newsom by accepting this budget, has shown himself to be a far left extremist politician. He has dreams of replacing Joe Biden this year as the Democrat presidential nominee. Wake up, America. This guy is a far left extremist Democrat. He's not a moderate. He's an extremist presiding over a state that has so many issues in crisis right now. And he just rubber stamped a budget deal to make things much, much worse. At Reform California, we're fighting to restore balance in our political system. I want you to go to the website, reformcalifornia.org. That's reformcalifornia.org. Chip in a contribution today. Our podcast, our news division, our voter guide, our candidate recruitment and support programs, all of that is funded by grassroots contributors like you. Not by the special interests, not by dark money, not by the lobbyists, not by the powerful in Sacramento, but by grassroots citizens like you who know that we need a better government. We need a better budget than the extremist budget that Newsom and California Democrats have rubber stamped this week. I can't wage this fight alone. We need your help. Take action today by contributing online. Also, sign up to get our voter guide. At the bottom of the website at reformcalifornia.org, you can sign up to get our voter guide, which arrives right when your ballot arrives this October. It'll give you a plain English description of your ballot measures and contains our candidate endorsements for state assembly and state senate so that we can provide a counterbalance to the governor's reckless, extremist budget policies. Go onto that website today and let's fight to restore some fiscal sanity to our state. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.